Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Hey, it's a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you can be free from your health conditions when you become your own doctor. I'm your host today, Dr. Aaron Ernst, and I love the fact that I have a very special guest, Gary Greenfield of Greenfield Water Solutions. Gary, are you online?
I'm here, Dr. Ernst.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us today. You know, Gary, you and I have known each other, I think now, a couple years at least?
Oh, at least. Probably 2 or 3 years.
Yes. We got connected partly because I became an advocate for not only just fixing the water that I deal with, but, Gary, if you remember this, a couple years ago, Charlotte Tap Water, which is where I live in the city of Charlotte, there was a report done where they said hexavalent chromium in the water, trichloroacetic acid in the water, levels of thallium, which is a toxic heavy metal, fluoride through the roof, haloacetic acids. Our water ran through this report and came back with over 16 contaminants, 10 of which cause cancer. So I quickly started looking around and said, okay, who owns the space of really good, clean water? And I got introduced to your son, and Ben Greenfield, and then he introduced me to you and said, you know, you got to talk to my dad. He's going to get your water fixed. And so here we are today. And I'm proud to say I think the water that comes out of my house is the cleanest in the entire city, thanks to Gary. And Gary, I want to talk today about your passion and what you do to help people realize that, hey, listen, water is actually something that can heal you. And if you do it in the right way and if you use the right kinds of water, you can actually bring a level of health that you can't achieve with bottled and or tapped. So can you just give our listeners a little bit of background, your story, your passion, your mission, etc.?
Sure. Up until the age of about 50, I'm 67 now, I had been on the standard American diet. I wasn't into organics. I didn't understand genetic modified foods. I just was too busy taking care of my family, working hard, and just was in the system. And I knew that going to the allopathic doctors wasn't working for me, but I just figured this is the way it is. I'm resigned to suffer from bronchitis every year, from allergies every year, from flus every year. So I just resigned myself to this, to this lifestyle and to that level of health. And, other than those, yearly sicknesses, I was in good health. I mean, I hadn't required any major surgeries. I didn't have any major heart condition or anything else, but I was routinely sick. And one time we used to have a lot of kids over for dinner on the weekends. And this one young lady shared with us how her mother was healed of cancer by a raw food diet. And I was astounded when I heard that. I don't know why, but I just was intensely fascinated by that statement. So I ended up hiring her to teach me all that she knew about raw food. She had been a chef in a raw food restaurant in California. So we spent months together on her teaching me everything. And from there, that launched me onto a 3-year independent study on nutrition and natural foods, natural health healing modalities. And at the end, I learned a little about a lot.
Yeah.
But I never read about water. And then and I came across a book one time. I don't know how I got there, but it was a book by Victor Schauberger, who was a 20th century forester, visionary from Austria. And that book fascinated me. It just talked about how water had attributes that were invisible, that we weren't aware of, and that were being ignored by modern technology. And his belief was that if we ignored water, it was going to mean the end of life on Earth as we knew it if we continued to treat water in the way that he saw modern technology going with that. So that fascinated me, and it just sent me on a quest to better understand water. And about that same time, I was invited to a KOENEN water demonstration, and I attended the demonstration. I didn't know anything about these machines until that night, and I didn't know really anything about water. And after watching this demonstration. It was very impressive. They did all kinds of demonstrations to show how this machine, improved the quality of water. And I just looked at the machine and saw it was plugged into the wall, and I thought, how can a machine that man-made that you plug into the wall do better than what nature does? And, by this time, after my years of study, I realized nature, we just can't outdo nature. We can't perfect nature. I've seen statements like, nature creates and science perfects, but, where we think we can do better than nature and we can't. And so that sent me on a quest to better understand water and how could I equal what this machine was doing or do better. And so I ended up actually traveling to Asia, to Korea and China, and I just fortuitously met with a medical doctor who was into water in Korea, who was working with to actually heal people just by absorbing information into the water, information from different minerals. And I met with a ceramic mineral ball company. Well, I ended up coming back to America, and I had a little $50 pitcher with me, a mineral ball pitcher. It just had minerals in it, and you fill it up with water, and you pour that into your glass, and it comes out with this health-enhancing water.
Yeah.
So
hey, Gary, we have to take a commercial break in just a second, but I want to continue your story, your passion, your mission, and then I think what I'd like to do with your help with this is show people that near 25 year journey of you learning all about water. What did it lead you to? And what we're going to talk about is, again, the structuring of water, the harmonizing of water, the energy behind water, the healing behind water. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Don't forget, I have a webinar coming up on Saturday, October 16th about energy, bouncing back from energetic-related issues, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, adrenal fatigue, and just the nature that so many of us are chronically tired. We're going to solve it with natural techniques. I'm going to show you some simple at-home tests that you can find out why you're so tired all the time. That webinar is Saturday, October 16th. It's at 10 a.m., and you can register with 704-906-2094. 704-906-2094. It's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. We'll be right back.
Sterling believes in the science of CBD. Here's 3 great reasons to choose Sterling CBD. Reason number 1, Sterling is pure CBD. Sterling CBD is made from pure CBD isolate. We remove all the THC and unnecessary compounds, leaving only pure CBD. Reason number 2, backed by science. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, has approved CBD for U.S. Olympic athletes, but they only approve pure CBD, like Sterling CBD. Reason number 3, our organic hemp is FDA approved. At Sterling CBD, we quality control test at every manufacturing stage. We start with organic hemp plants and track them to our FDA-registered food-grade extraction facility. Our pure CBD products include capsules, isolates, lotions, and oils. We even have CBD pet products. You can find Sterling CBD at drernstscbd.com. Use the coupon code Dr. Ernst for 20% off your order.
How come there are people who drink a pint of whiskey a day for 20, 30 years, and at the end of it only 20 or 30% become cirrhotic? What happened to the others? And we speculated, we hypothesized, it's the enzyme, alcoholic dehydrogenase made by the stomach. Maybe it's different, maybe it's genes, maybe it's polymorphism. The answer appears to be coffee. If you drink that much alcohol and drink 1 cup of regular coffee a day, 20% reduction in alcoholic cirrhosis risk, 2 cups 40%, 4 cups 80%. It's not a license to drink heavily and drink coffee and protect your liver. You could still get Korsakoff psychosis, cardiomyopathy, pancreatitis, kill people on the road, ruin your marriage, but it does protect the liver. It's pretty amazing.
Here's a secret your grocery store does not want you to know. At ThriveMarket.com, get up to 50% off all your organic groceries delivered to your door for free. Shop organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, and paleo. And get a free jar of coconut oil. Thrive Market. Wholesome products, wholesale prices. Get your free coconut oil today only at ThriveMarket.com.
Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. Thanks for tuning in and welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. I'm your host, Dr. Aaron Ernst, and we have a very special guest, Gary Greenfield from Greenfield Water Solutions. Gary, thanks for joining us today. And I want to continue that conversation you had about how you took your passion and the desires to learn about all things natural and how that led you to recognizing like water is an essential key component of our health. So can you continue that story for those who are just tuning in and joining us?
Sure. So I ended up at another KOENEN water demonstration, and I asked the demonstrators if I could compare the pitcher I brought with me, this mineral ball pitcher, with what their machine was doing. And in every single demonstration we did, the water coming out of this little $50 pitcher outperformed what they were doing with their $4,000 machine.
Yeah.
And so they said, well, we need to do this again. This isn't making sense. So we did it again, and it happened again. So that satisfied my belief that nature does it better, and it can do it cheaper.
Yeah. And
so from there, that just sent me on a quest to better understand other aspects of water. And I had it in my brain that if I could combine the benefits of the invisible energies that came off those minerals with vortexing, which is something that Victor Schauberger talked about in his book, that would be the optimal way to bring water back to its natural state. And so my ultimate quest was to figure out how to create benefits in water that were non-sacrificial, in the sense that how could we create technologies that didn't wear out, that were perpetual, that benefited water, just like what happens in nature. But I didn't I had that vision, but I didn't understand I didn't know what I was going to, how I was going to get there.
Yep.
I was completely ignorant. But yet I had these little signposts along the way that kind of inspired me. So I ended up partnering with someone who was creating a structured water device using vortexing. And then I shared with them that my vision of how we could marry the benefits of minerals, of the information that comes off of minerals with the vortexing, and that would create just the perfect device that mimics what happens in nature. At least that aspect of it that is ignored by the water treatment industry. They've perfected physical filtration, which is an important part. But unless we include the other aspects of vortexing and information transfer or energization of water, we're not going to bring water back to its natural state. We're not going to be able to bring anything back to its optimal state of health unless we include those components.
So let's talk about that, because I understand what you're saying. I understand the energization of water, the structuring, the vortexing, because you've educated me. Do you mind if I ask just some questions? I'm putting myself in the mindset of one of our listeners.
Sure.
Structuring of water, harmonizing, energizing. Like I go to the tap and I put my glass under it and I drink it. So walk me through, like, not only just the chemical nature of the issue with tap water, but like what's the difference between the water that comes out of my tap and what you're talking about, this structured and harmonized and mineralized water?
Yeah. Well, I can use an example. When I spent time in India developing or structured water research. And one of the first experiments we did was just growing a garden. And it was a very simple experiment. We just took one part of this field and planted it in vegetables and watered it with well water. And the other side, we watered with water that came out of the same well, but was structured using vortexing and the information transfer, which is simply just exposing that water to various elements. Just found, just elements that come from the soil. And that's all we did. We didn't add any fertilizing or anything like that. And then at the end of the growing season, I was back in India to participate in the harvest, and I simply did a taste test. And I have a video on this on my website. And well, the first thing we noticed was that this was not normal, but it did happen. We had a 100% increase in crop yield.
Wow!
And it was for radishes. And the radishes that were fed with the structured water were well formed, larger, just in brighter color. And so then I did a taste test, and I tasted the one that was grown with just well water, just normal water that comes out of the ground. And this was not chemicalized or anything. It was just pure well water in India. And I tasted the first radish that was watered with this water, and it was bland. It didn't have any flavor to it. It wasn't spicy, and it tastes like what you get out of the grocery store.
Yeah.
And then I tasted the other one, and it just burst in my mouth and was very flavorful. And then the spiciness came up, and it was so hot I had to go off camera and spit it out. And that just blew my mind. I really, all we did was vortex the water and expose it to invisible energies. It wasn't even a physical impartation.
Yeah.
And what that, we as humans, we're humus, right? That means we come from the soil. We were created from the soil. And the principles that were at work in that plant, I believe, are the same principles that are at work in us when we drink structured water. There's no difference.
So how would you describe like what actually is structured water? And how does it differ from, like, say, the well water that you talked about? Right.
Well, it's the same as structured water is just water in a completed state. It's in that it's gone through the entire hydrological cycle. It's not been short-circuited, because it's the only way that water can come to full maturity is by going through the entire hydrological cycle, and that is something that we've interrupted. And how have we done that? Well, simply by creating pumps and then, drilling a hole in the there was multiple ways actually, but this is one way. We drill a hole down to the aquifer, and rather than allowing that water to levitationally come to the surface and then, flow out through a spring into a creek, and then where it's subjected to vortexing and interaction with the environment and absorbing the energies from the environment, in a natural environment, it's getting all beneficial energies. But what we do, we bypass that by just sucking it out of the ground with a pump. And so we're taking that water in an immature state down the aquifer and bringing it right up, and then we're bringing it up through a straight pipe. Water in nature never flows in a straight line. It always meanders like a snake, back and forth, in any creek, river, anywhere it goes. That's how, and that process is part of the process that allows it to bring in energy and also to structure it, because it's a perfect movement, much like as we exercise. If we exercise correctly, then and we eat the right foods, we buff up and we look good. We look structured. Our muscles become structured. Muscles are 99% water, 1% protein. What's happening there? It's mostly happening because of the water. So.
So let me put it this way: if I go to the tap and I drink that water, I'm drinking a water that's immature. I'm drinking a water that's not only chemically altered, but energetically altered. And our bodies are structured. The water that's in our body is a structured system. So we need to start focusing on the idea that we have to return the water we drink back to its original maturity, like you talked about, and its structure. So can you briefly, we've got about 3 or 4 minutes before our commercial, can you walk us through what does your system do? So you've developed this, I'll call it sort of post coming out of the ground. It's in a straight pipe. It's coming to your house. Now you have these units that we can install that will actually not only clean the contaminants, but reharmonize and revortex and structure the water back. Can you describe how that works?
Sure. Yeah. My quest was to create a system that mimicked nature exactly in the most concise, economical, efficient way possible. And so what we've done, we've created the structured water filter, which is based on 4 components that make up the water in its complete, natural, health-enhancing state. And we structure it, which means we vortex it, and we do that in an optimal way that I believe we've perfected. I don't think we can do any better than what nature does. We're mimicking nature exactly in vortexing. And then we have energization. We're imparting energy to that water by exposing that water to all the elements of the periodic table plus rare earth minerals. And the water is actually picking up that information and bringing that into the body. Number 4, we're mineralizing the water. That means we're enhancing that water with extra minerals or elements like magnesium, which is very, very important. And most people are magnesium deficient, which leads to all kinds of issues. Mm-hmm. And 4th, we're filtering it physically. And so those are the 4 components. Those are the 4 legs that keep that chair, working with integrity. Mineralization, filtering, structuring, and energization. And so that's what we include in our whole house
in your filter system.
And that's what we include in our undersink filter as well.
So let me ask this. If I have, let's say I invest $150, $200 in an over-counter Berkey. I've got some questions from patients. Does my Berkey filter revitalize the water? Does it bring it back to life?
No, it filters it, and that's all it's going to do.
And then a Brita?
You still have to add same thing. They're going to filter, and they do a good job. The water treatment industry does an excellent job at filtering for the most part, but it ignores, and the next part it does sometimes is mineralization, but it doesn't structure and it doesn't energize. And without those 2 components, you're not going to ever have the optimal health that you could have.
Here's a question, and here's a question from a patient of mine. What about a reverse osmosis system? Is that offering me a level of revitalizing my water?
That's creating, that's fixing one problem, kind of like pharmaceuticals. They'll fix one problem, but they create a myriad of other problems in the meantime. So they really don't heal us. They just maintain us in a state of a static state of disease or sickness.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with the reverse osmosis. It's removing everything from the water except for the hydrogen and the oxygen. And so it's putting that water into an acidic state, a hungry state. So when that water goes into your body, rather than imparting minerals, it's short-circuiting and wants to take out of your body the minerals. So it's just screwing up the whole concept of why your body wants that water.
So you've heard it straight from the water doctor, Gary Greenfield. He's describing how the water we drink is extremely important for our health, and if we're using traditional filters, Berkeys, Britas, even reverse osmosis, we could be causing damage and harm to our body. So when we come back from this commercial break, we're going to talk more about the benefits and the power of structured water, healing water, how you can get these systems in your house with a discount. And don't forget that my seminar is on Saturday, October 16th. Energy, weight loss, healing. Call 704-906-2094 to register. 704-906-2094. You can also text your name and your email. It'll bring you straight to the registration. And don't forget, when we come back, more about the healing powers of water and how you need to hydrate to get your health back. It's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. We'll be right back.
Sterling believes in the science of CBD. Here's 3 great reasons to choose Sterling CBD. Reason number 1, Sterling is pure CBD. Sterling CBD is made from pure CBD isolate. We remove all the THC and unnecessary compounds, leaving only pure CBD. Reason number 2, backed by science. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, has approved CBD for U.S. Olympic athletes, but they only approve pure CBD, like Sterling CBD. Reason number 3, our organic hemp is FDA approved. At Sterling CBD, we quality control test at every manufacturing stage. We start with organic hemp plants and track them to our FDA-registered food-grade extraction facility. Our pure CBD products include capsules, isolates, lotions, and oils. We even have CBD pet products. You can find Sterling CBD at drernstscbd.com. Use the coupon code Dr. Ernst for 20% off your order.
How come there are people who drink a pint of whiskey a day for 20, 30 years, and at the end of it, only 20 or 30% become cirrhotic? What happened to the others? And we speculated, we hypothesized, oh, it's the enzyme, alcoholic dehydrogenase made by the stomach. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's genes. Maybe it's polymorphism. The answer appears to be coffee. If you drink that much alcohol and drink 1 cup of regular coffee a day, 20% reduction in alcoholic cirrhosis risk. 2 cups, 40%. 4 cups, 80%. It's not a license to drink heavily.
Right.
And drink coffee and protect your liver. You know, you could still get Korsakoff psychosis, cardiomyopathy, pancreatitis, kill people on the road, ruin your marriage, but it does protect the liver. It's pretty amazing.
Here's a secret your grocery store does not want you to know. At ThriveMarket.com, get up to 50% off all your organic groceries delivered to your door for free. Shop organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, and paleo. And get a free jar of coconut oil. Thrive Market. Wholesome products, wholesale prices. Get your free coconut oil today only at ThriveMarket.com.
So this is the difference between biodynamic and conventional farming. Let's look at the difference in vineyards here. You have very green grass and herbs and life growing, and then dead soil over here. So this is a conventional vineyard where they spray pesticides, they use a lot of tractors to pull up the soil. This soil is dead, it's dry. There's no life. This is Klaus's vineyard. It's farmed biodynamically. Everything is picked by hand and they don't use any chemicals. So there's life, there's green grass, everything grows. This is the big disparity between conventional farming and biodynamic farming, and you can see it perfectly side by side. We prefer this wine, of course, because this wine is dead. There's nothing living in it.
Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. I'm your host, Dr. Aaron Ernst. What a beautiful day. Thanks for tuning in. We have an incredible topic, the healing power of water. But we have to make sure we're drinking the right kind of water. And we have the water doctor, Gary Greenfield, online with us today. Gary's tuning in and joining us to teach us more about how we have to pay attention to what we do with our water before we drink it to make sure it brings health to our body. So, Gary, thanks again for joining us today. And
Thank you, Dr. Ernst, for having me.
Yeah, so we had a couple questions come in over the commercial break. A lot of my patients are watching this online, and many of them have said they drink 3/4 to a gallon or more of water per day, and we give them the calculations of how much water to drink. And yet, after 4 or 5 weeks, their hydration rates have only gone up 1 or 2 or 3%. So for those of you watching online or listening, the human body is technically supposed to be anywhere from 50 to up to 70% water, depending upon your age. And what's unique is infants can be as much as 75 to 80% water by volume. And as we age, of course, we build muscle and bone and organ tissues. But yet, when I often work with someone that has a disease, blood pressure issues, cholesterol problems, thyroid issues, diabetes, aches and pains, fibromyalgia, almost always their tests come back showing dehydration at a severe level. I've seen some adults at 30%, 35%. So, Gary, why is it that when I drink all the water I'm supposed to, I never see my hydration rates come up?
Right. Well, yes, that would primarily be because the water that comes out of the tap has been destructured, and it's been destructured by coming through straight pipes and also, of course, being chemicalized. But then again, even bottled water that's free of chemicals can be, and most of the time, is in an unstructured state. Unless those that are handling that water know what they're doing and are intentionally structuring that water, it's not going to be structured. And even spring waters that are bottled can be destructured by the way that they're handled in the bottling process. And the problem with water in a destructured state is that's not the way the body was meant to receive water. It's not in a natural state, and consequently, the body isn't able to hydrate that water or absorb that water like it normally would if it was in an informed state or in a state of organization where it can flow effortlessly through the body. What we find in our studies is that when the water is structured, we reduce friction, and we of course increase hydration. For instance, it's routine. We in agriculture, whenever we put a system in, we can tell that farmer, we can guarantee them a 30% savings in water. Well, why is that? Well, that's because that water is so efficient. It's going right through the root structure, right through the cells, that the body's just using it effortlessly. Whereas when the water is not structured, the body has to work to get that water into a structured state before it can cross the cell membrane.
Yep.
Or flow properly. So that's the problem.
So I'm holding an infographic for those of you watching our video live stream. Go to facebook.com/AskDrErnst or even google.com, youtube.com/AskDrErnst. What you'll see here is sort of the clustering, the clumping, what Gary's talking about with sort of that lack of fluidity. And actually, it's basically a large structure. And your body has to spend a tremendous amount of energy turning this cluster of water into this free-flowing, nice and easy system, which is the structured water. So rather than letting your body do all the work and as a result have your energy drop and have all the need that you have for health and healing be diverted into fixing the water, what Gary's system can do is actually restructure, remineralize, and bring that water back to life. So Gary, tell us real quick, in your opinion, when we talk about the different systems, I mean, I went online and I was looking at like different home filtering systems and the aqua systems that are available. We're just talking about first and second stage filtration. I'm seeing whole house systems that are $3,000, $5,000, $8,000, yet I know yours is extremely well priced and yet very effective in its method. How are you able to deliver a system that does so much but costs usually a third or fourth or even a fifth of what other systems are?
Great question. Well, one, we probably because we sell direct to the customer rather than through other means, and I'm just my goal and vision has always been to create a product that was affordable for as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And so the way that I've always, in all of my research, I've never gone into debt. We've always sought to create the product using parts that were economical and inexpensive, and so consequently, that's just my vision, to create a product that's not expensive, that's affordable for most, and that's going to provide the most bang for the buck.
And I think what I'm hearing is it's your passion, sort of your God calling coming out through you. Most people who work in the space they feel called to do will often develop systems and methods to make things very easy for people to get. So listen, if you're listening today and you're going like, whoa, I need some more information about this. I know, Gary, I've even sent patients to you. I've given you the direct number, and they call and you talk to them and help them through what kind of systems do they need? What do they need for their house? So if you're looking to enhance the water that you get in your home, visit greenfieldwater.com. And there's even a contact section. Gary has his name, his email, his phone number, everything online for you guys. And special guest gift for today. If you use the code AskDrErnst when you either call in or go to the website, you get a massive discount. I think it's an extra 10% off. So not only is his system extremely affordable, but he's going to help you even more by connecting with the codes we have. When we come back from this next commercial break, we're going to go into the deeper nature of what does this real water do for you? What are the health effects when you're dehydrated? Everything from chronic fatigue, headaches, blood pressure issues, arthritis, muscle issues, joint pain, fatigue, you name it, you'd be amazed. I look at water as the most essential mineral nutrient that you need. And we're going to go into a deeper relationship and a conversation about how these systems that Gary has developed can fix the water, bring it back to life, harmonize it, and help your body to heal. Because ultimately, water is a healing nutrient, and so many of us are deficient in it. And yet most of us struggle to bring our hydration levels up because we're drinking the wrong kinds of water. Also, I have a seminar coming up on Saturday, October 16th. It's about energy. Not only just the water you drink, but the health that you have from within. We're talking about the top systems that bring your energy back, that can help you to lose 10, 15, even 20 pounds, and also make you bounce back from a diagnostic condition, heart disease, diabetes, MS, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, whatever you have, you can be set free, but you have to join us for this webinar. 704-906-2094 is the number to register. You can also call or text your name and your email directly to that line. We'll get you registered. The event is free. It's Saturday, October 16th. When we come back, more with the water doctor, Gary Greenfield, and how to fix the water that you drink so you can get your health and your life and your energy back. It's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. We'll be right back.
Sterling believes in the science of CBD. Here's 3 great reasons to choose Sterling CBD. Reason number 1, Sterling is pure CBD. Sterling CBD is made from pure CBD isolate. We remove all the THC and unnecessary compounds, leaving only pure CBD. Reason number 2, backed by science. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, has approved CBD for U.S. Olympic athletes, but they only approve pure CBD, like Sterling CBD. Reason number 3, our organic hemp is FDA approved. At Sterling CBD, we quality control test at every manufacturing stage. We start with organic hemp plants and track them to our FDA-registered food-grade extraction facility. Our pure CBD products include capsules, isolates, lotions, and oils. We even have CBD pet products. You can find Sterling CBD at drernstscbd.com. Use the coupon code Dr. Ernst for 20% off your order.
What if we told you coffee was good for you?
Coffee is the single highest source of antioxidants in the Western diet. More antioxidants than kale, more antioxidants than 70% dark chocolate, and more antioxidants than blueberries.
In fact, what if we told you that coffee is really good for you?
Research shows that 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day dramatically enhances performance in high-intensity exercise, improves memory, reaction times, and overall cognitive function, decreases risk of depression, promotes weight loss by boosting metabolic rates, reduces risk of type 2 diabetes up to 40%, decreases risk of liver cancer up to 71%, reduces risk of Parkinson's up to 30%, and decreases risk of Alzheimer's up to 65%. Overall, coffee drinkers live longer. People who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day have about a 15% lower risk of premature mortality compared to people who don't drink coffee.
Good afternoon. Hey, it's Saturday, and it's time for the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. I'm your host, Dr. Aaron Ernst, and it's a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you can be set free from your health problems. We're talking about the healing power of water, but not the water that comes out of your tap, not even the water you find bottled up from the springs. We talked about this. Like, even spring water is somewhat dangerous. Certainly not the water that's going through a Berkey or even like a Brita or your refrigerator filter. My goodness. Gary, we got a text over the last commercial break. If my refrigerator filter's in, am I safe? Am I protected? Am I good? So we still have a lot of questions to answer. But Gary, thanks for joining us today. I know that you're very passionate about helping water to come back to life, revitalizing the water that we drink and get exposed to, because it's going to help us to heal. So can you give us a little more background again? We have to structure it. We have to harmonize it. We have to bring it back through its 4 sort of maturity cycles to make the water that we drink healthy. How do we do that? And what are the benefits of drinking this type of water?
Right. Well, the benefits of water come from, of course, the elements, because that's what water is made of. It's made primarily of oxygen and hydrogen, and those are 2 extremely important elements, and the others follow as well. And all elements have three purposes. They clean, they feed, and they protect. And that's really everything that all the functions in our body are based on those 3 functions. That's what they're doing. They're cleaning, they're feeding, and they're protecting. And they get the energy to do those functions from the energy that's brought into the body with oxygen and hydrogen and the elements. And once that water comes into the body, the melanin in the body, and this is something science doesn't talk about, but the melanin in the body actually emits a frequency which is generated from solar energy that's absorbed from the sun. Those frequencies split the oxygen and hydrogen, which turn it into a gas, and the oxygen is a sanitizer, the hydrogen is an energizer, and they can effortlessly absorb through the entire body to perform those functions. And along with the other elements that are brought into the body, they will perform the functions that they're designed to do, which again are cleaning, feeding, and protecting. So when the water is in a structured state and a mineralized state, which means it's got all those elements in there, it's in an optimal state to be able to do those functions. And of course, those functions are what lead to optimal health. And any deficiency in any one of those functions is going to lead to disease or to sickness or inadequacies of one kind or another in the human body. And that's basically what it's all about.
Yeah, so again, according to the current research, 75% of Americans are walking around daily in a chronically dehydrated state. I pulled some facts. Gary, tell me if you would agree with this. Water, and again, it's going to be, if it's in its structured and mineralized and harmonized state, is needed for you to produce all of the hormones of your body and the neurotransmitters in your brain that make you feel great. So we're in this state of severe amounts of anxiety and depression. Antidepressants are now the #1 most prescribed medication in the United States. It has surpassed the statins and even surpassed thyroid medications. Number one most prescribed in the U.S. is we don't feel good. So our doctors say, here's a solution, pill. Yet, if you actually clean and hydrate and protect your brain with the right kinds of water, guess what happens? Functionality, life comes back. They've even got studies showing it relates to the amount of pressure you have in your blood. Blood pressures, regulates your sugars, allows your cells to grow, reproduce, and survive. I think one of the biggest aspects of water that's overlooked is the fact that it actually flushes toxins out of the body. But yet, and Gary, maybe you can talk about this, if my water is not structured and mineralized and harmonized, am I going to get the full effects in my liver, in my kidneys, in my brain, in my heart? I think I know the answer, but let's see what he says.
Yeah, well, of course you're going to get benefits from water in any state because the human body is extremely efficient. It's going to take what it needs, but it's just not going to be able to function at an optimal level. Whereas if that water comes into the body, structured and energized, it's going to get an abundance of what it needs, and so therefore it's going to just be healthier. Period.
Yeah,
and you're going to have more energy, and I get reports from customers routinely that will tell me that they've noticed an increase in energy. So of course it's not the cure-all. It's one component, but it's the most important component. Of course, you need all the other aspects. Science or sunshine and exercise and the right kind of food and the right kind of thinking. The right philosophy that's healthy, but water is foundational. Water is the foundation for everything. Yeah. So if you don't have your foundation right, everything else is going to have some faulty function to it. It's not going to properly do what it can do.
So walk me through this. I'm coming to the awareness that, the water I'm drinking it's helping, but it's not optimizing my body. Because again, like you said, if I drink tap water, the innate power of the human body is going to say, we got to get all these chemicals out. We have to get it restructured. We have to get it energized. And that takes energy for your body to do that. It'll do it for you, but you're sacrificing the power that your body could use for repair, regeneration, for healing. So if I want my water to be fixed, if I want it to be healthy again, walk me through what are the stages again. Let's say I'm looking in my garage, I see the pipe comes in, and then it goes into my house. What are the things that I need to install or get so I can bring that life back to the water that's in my house?
Yeah. Well, what I realized early on was that because nobody understands the concept or appreciates these concepts of structuring and energizing, in order to get this product out into people's homes, I had to use a Trojan horse. And that Trojan horse, of course, is filtering, because everybody understands filtering. Mm-hmm. And so my quest was to combine the attributes of structuring and energizing and mineralization with filtering. So I've spent the past probably 4 years of sourcing the best filtering equipment and filters that I could find and figuring out how to marry my products into that. Mm-hmm. And I originally started in China, and I worked with them and developed some products with them. But over the past year, I've wanted so badly to want to be able to work with an American manufacturer mm-hmm. to get these, to partner with that could create these devices. And so I actually have just recently found an American manufacturer who was the mold maker for most of the water filter housings that are supplied to America. And he sold his company and started over again, and he created a very unique water filtration product. And now I'm working with him to create, and we've created a structured water filter. And actually, I'm just debuting it this week.
Oh, perfect.
As we talk. I mean, we're just finalizing everything. I'm very excited about it because it's an industry first in water filtration, and it's including my vision of structuring, energizing, and mineralization. So we're very excited about the future and what we can, how we can bring this product into more homes.
Yeah. And I know that your current units that you have, which is it's very similar to the one I have, it's been tested to be able to remove, I think, in the 98, 99% range of all the contaminants, the chloramines, the VOCs, the fluorides, lead. Even, this is why I use yours as opposed to others, glyphosates and the pesticides, the herbicides. So Maybe you can just fill us in on, again, why is it so important that we don't just filter the water to remove contaminants, but then we create the vortexing and the mineralizing afterwards?
Yes. Well, again, the body recognizes all of these contaminants, and it's, and it has to work hard to protect us from them, and oftentimes it doesn't have the energy to do so. And so consequently, these contaminants, rather than being held within the water and carried out of the body, they're absorbed by the body and they're stored in the fats, and because the water doesn't have the ability to take it out, the body working with the water doesn't have the energy to take it out. And so what happens when we energize that water, when we mineralize that water, when we vortex that water, we're enabling the body to do a better job of flushing it of all those contaminants. And so, and this is, I'd love to see research done on this in the future, in that what I believe is happening is that once we feed the body with this water, it's going to enhance the detox process. It's going to make it that much more efficient so we can get rid of these contaminants, which are only increasing, in our food supply, in the atmosphere, in all the materials that we have in our homes.
Yeah.
They're only increasing, this exposure. And structural and energized water is an absolute essential to help us overcome these issues.
Yeah, and the unique thing is it's not a massive unit. It's a couple feet tall by a couple feet wide. It fits very easily into your plumbing lines. And, I know that when you even helped to develop my system, we just called a local plumber. They came out and they were intrigued by what this stuff was. And they said, we know how to put it in. And it's very fascinating. You kind of educate even the plumbers, and they're like, wow, this is incredible. So if you'd like more information about what kind of system is best for your house so it can have the best healthy living structured water, it's greenfieldwater.com. Gary's contact information, look at that, top dead center, his phone number. And I promise you can text him, call him, and he'll help you to discover which system is best for your house, what is needed to be done, and I promise you're going to love this, so much so that he even has a special discount code for you all. Ask Dr. Ernst. That's the phrase that you can use when you speak with him or online to get an extra discount. And Gary, thanks for tuning in and being here today. I know that you're a busy man and that you're on a mission, so I just want to honor the fact you spent the hour with us. Is there any last-minute words, encouragements, or anything you'd like to say for our listeners?
Well, we do, for those that can't afford an undersink or they can't afford the whole house, we do offer a handheld vortexer and a harmonizer, which can be used with a Berkey or a pitcher, or with water coming from your tap. So at least we do offer entry level products that can be beneficial for people's health.
You can hear it. He's on such a mission for you to have access to this structured water that he'll even help you to kind of piggyback off the units you have. So Gary, thanks for tuning in and being here today. Love that you're our special guest. Again, it's greenfieldwater.com. If you'd like more information, visit the website, use the contact button, give him a call. And don't forget, not next Saturday, my goodness, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's on the Saturday the 16th. I think it's about 2 weeks away from this week. We're hosting the Energy Webinar. Look, water's important, but so is your nutrition, and so is your detoxification, and so is the raw power that flows from your brain down your spinal cord. We're going to go over the tests you can do at home to find out, why are you so tired? Why are we so fatigued? Why haven't we healed from a disease? If you have high blood pressure, cholesterol, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, aches and pains, any diagnosis, join us on Saturday, October 16th, 10 a.m., and the webinar is free, 704-906-2094. Again, 704-906-2094. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great day.